A lot of Pokemon card singles are dropping in price, and today we're going to be taking a look at a bunch of different cards. And not only are these great cards, but these cards are going to be really great in the long term, and they're just amazing to add into your collection. So we'll be taking a look at all of them right now. Alright guys, we are back again with a bunch of cards that you should add into your collection. Now these cards are all going to be from the Sword and Shield era because prices have been dropping across the board. Really, except like the real top end cards, they've been doing the opposite, right? They've been going really high, you know, especially the alt arts, especially like the Blaziken, of course the Umbreon, things like that. But there are some really good gems, from alt arts to rainbows to golds and to trainer cards. There's some really good ones out there. Now I did a video recently where I went through the most expensive trainer gallery cards from the Sword and Shield era, and trainer gallery is a really good subset that adds in a lot of extra value when opening the packs, and it contains some amazing cards. But today we're going to be taking a look at some other cards, not necessarily trainer gallery cards, that are just really good when everywhere else is really expensive. So we're going to be taking a look at PokeJace today, find out all the information. Let's get into it. So first off, we're going to be looking at Evolving Skies, and we have the Duraludon VMAX alt art, the good old skyscraper coming in. And, you know, this card hasn't been that expensive compared to all the other alt arts in Evolving Skies. They've all been going super crazy. I mean, especially Evolutions, but again, the alt art Dragonite as well has been doing pretty decent. Of course, the Rayquaza is doing really strong as well. But there are also other alt arts in this set, like the Noivern is another one which is really good. But today we got the Duraludon, and you know, this is actually a pretty sweet looking card. It is quite nice. Definitely not easy to pull. The alt arts really aren't, especially in Evolving Skies. Pull rates are tough. Right, let's take a look at this. So over on eBay, we are looking at $22. So these are basically on the average selling of these cards. So these are raw prices. TCG Player, we look at $26. And over on Card Market, we're looking at $28, and over on Card Market, we're looking around about 28 euros, which is, you know, pretty decent. Over here in the UK, you're probably looking around £25 or so for this card, obviously depending on condition. PSA 10, $46. Not the greatest, so I wouldn't even bother grading this card. This is a card, $46 in a PSA 10 is not the greatest. There is quite a few of them around, and the PSA 9, it's not really worth it, right? This is a great card to have. Just keep it raw, to be honest. You don't have to obviously grade it for that value. But if we take a look, the PSA 10 price has been dropping for a while. You know, if we go back over the last few months, it was around $100, and then it's just been going down ever since. The raw card price has actually been pretty steady. So we got the blue and the raw card price. It's been around that $23, $22, and it's kind of going up a little bit, but not a huge amount. So it's pretty level, so it's a pretty good card to get up pretty cheap. If you grade it with CGC, we're looking at CGC 10, $116. So I think, you know, look at that, PSA 10, 46, CGC 10, maybe you can get a CGC, even a CGC 9, we're looking at $41. That's pretty good. Like, that's pretty good compared to PSA. Maybe this is a card you should get graded with a CGC. Clearly that's going to be doing, you know, incredibly well. So yeah, this is a great little card to pick up from Evolving Skies. Evolving Skies, we know it's getting really expensive. Pull rates are super tough. This is still a nice, cheap, alternate artwork that you can add into your collection. All right, moving on to Lost Origin. And we're going to be looking at one of the many Giratinas. And we've got the Gold V-Star. Now, I love the look of V-Stars, whether it's normal, gold, or rainbow. I think they look amazing. Giratina, big fan favorite. The alt art is just ridiculously expensive. Now, to hit some of these big Giratinas, it's actually really tough. You know, Lost Origin doesn't have the best pull rates. And we've seen that. And, you know, it kind of shows with some of the prices. But this is still a really cheap card to get. Now we're looking at, you know, eBay, basically $16, TCG Player 18, Card Market 21 euros. Over here in the UK, you're looking around about £20. I would say between 15 and 20, depending on obviously condition. PSA 10, we've got 47, which isn't the greatest. If we look at CGC, then we've got a 9 on here, eBay at 40. This is quite interesting. There is, you know, it's a card where it's dropped. Again, look at the PSA price, has dropped massively. Now, it's a lot cheaper to get things graded now with PSA again, so PSA graded cards have been dropping. This is a good, cheap card to pick up for your collection. Like I say, the Gold V-Stars are really nice. This is a tough card to pull. You know, super tough. So it's one thing to take into consideration. Lost Origin, booster boxes are going up. You know, it is a fantastic set. Pull rates aren't the greatest. That's one thing to look at. Next up, we have the rainbow version of the Giratina. Now, I actually prefer the rainbow. I know that some people say like, oh, well, the rainbows aren't the greatest, but I actually quite like the Rainbow V-Stars rather than the other ones. And this is, you know, a little bit more expensive, looking at $18 on eBay, about $20 on TCG Player, and 25 euros on Card Market. Over here in the UK, it's around about £20, £22. And again, this is another card, really cheap. Like the gold, I think is a fantastic card to pick up. Now, these cards aren't ridiculously expensive, and that's the main thing. That's the main thing, because down the line, when Lost Origin goes out of print, A lot of these big cards, especially Giratina, people love Giratina, big fan favorite. They're going to go up. They're going to become harder to get hold of. They're going to end up being more and more expensive. And that's the key. That is the key. We've already seen, like I say, booster boxes go up. Tough pull rates. This is like, I remember when this came out, it was like 1 in every 2,000 packs or something silly. The pull rates for this is really difficult. Harder actually than the alt art. Whereas this card's super cheap. Like really, really cheap to pick up. I think this with the gold, beautiful. And then we've got another card from Lost Origin. This is actually a Trainer Gallery one. This is the Eternatus. Now I think they've done Eternatus a bit dirty in the Sword and Shield era because it is a big Pokemon, right? He was like the big bad, the big legendary. I think he should have no art. Personally, I think he should have no art. I still think this is the most awesome looking Eternatus art that we have with Rose, and I think this is a really nice card, and it's cheap. It's cheap. Not that easy to pull either. $9 on eBay. Really, really cheap cards. PSA 10, you look around $32. Not massively expensive, so if you do want to pick that up, now's a really good time, guys. Now's a really good time. Like I say, the Trainer Gallery in Lost Origin is fantastic, and there's some really, really good cards. This is definitely one of them, and I wouldn't say it's like really, really expensive. So this is one to look out for. And, for under $10, like, can't really go wrong, right? Over here in the UK, this goes for around, I don't know, £8, something like that, £7, £8. So that's one thing to take into consideration with this card. Really good, cheap pickup, really. Okay, on to Astral Radiance. We have the Beedrill V. Oh, I really like this card. Like, I really, really do. Astral Radiance has some really, really nice alternate arts in the set. They're not, like, massively expensive, but I think it's actually one of those few sets which is a bit underrated to some extent compared to, Lost Origin, Brilliant Stars, Crown Zenith, things like that. Out of the Trainer Gallery set, it's the weakest. However, out of some of the other non-Trainer Gallery sets, it's a lot better, right? And there are some fantastic alt arts in this set, and this Beedrill was definitely one of them. $24 on eBay, not massively expensive, right? $29 basically on TCG Player, and about €30 on Card Market. Over here in the UK, I mean, you could see anywhere between, in the sell for as low as £20 to as high as maybe 25, 30. So it really does depend on condition, of course, but it's not that expensive, right? It really isn't that expensive. Then we're looking at PSA 10, about $75. There's quite a few of them actually in PSA 10. And then 41. Let's take a look at CGC. We've only got CGC 9 here, and that was for 50. So let's take a look over the past 6 months. And this card went from, this is graded in PSA 10, 120, and it's just dropped. So again, because grading is getting a bit cheaper, it's getting a bit easier. There's a lot more out there, right? But the single card price, the raw card price, really has been sitting pretty steady, around 30, did drop to like 27, and then it's kind of sat around at 29, 27 for the longest time, and it's a good card. It is really a good card to pick up. I think that, you could do pretty well picking this up. You get a good condition one. This is going to be fan favorite. It's an OG, right? I know it's Beedrill, but it is an OG with beautiful art. Next we have the Galarian Moltres V Gold card. Now this is actually from Brilliant Stars. Beautiful card, absolutely beautiful. Legendary birds always do well. I always think they do well, and there's 3 of them, right? And today we're looking at the Moltres. I think all 3 of them are pretty good, but the Moltres kind of takes it for me, even though Articuno is my favorite. Now we're looking at $17 on eBay. Okay, that's not too bad. A bit cheaper on TCG Player at 15, €22 on Card Market. Over here I think it's around, I would say, about 18, maybe £18 on average, on eBay for a raw one. And like we say, look, like PSA, not massively expensive. You've got $45 on average, quite a lot of them. Again, it's a card which is nice to have, right? It's a card that's really good to add into your collection because it is cheap. Everyone likes legendary birds. It is a really, really nice card, and it's not that easy to pull, even though Brilliant Stars has good pull rates. Brilliant Stars is going to be one of the most expensive sets, I think, once it's out of print. It is going to be a set that everyone's going to be like, whoa, hang on a minute. Down the line, they're going to look back on Sword and Shield and like, hang on a minute, there's some fantastic cards on Brilliant Stars, and this is definitely one of them. So this is one to definitely look out for. Very, very nice card that is pretty cheap, in all honesty, pretty cheap. The fact that you can pick up for around $15 is actually not that bad. And I mean, it did actually go up to a high as 26 over the past 6 months, and it's kind of dipped and been pretty steady. The Zapdos is the same, and the Articuno is the same. A lot of the cards across Brilliant Stars have been dropping in price, including the Charizards. So that's one thing to take into consideration, that it might actually be a good idea to just pick some of these up at a cheap price. And then we have the Umbreon V Trainer Gallery card from Brilliant Stars. Now this just missed out on the top 10 most expensive Trainer Gallery cards. It is a gorgeous card. It is really, really nice. I don't have it in my collection yet. I actually really want it. I have the Sylveon, but I don't have the Umbreon. This is a beautiful card. Look at $16 on eBay. We look at $12, $13 on TCG Player, and around €18 on Card Market. This tends to sell for a decent amount over here. I mean, this tends to sell kind of towards that £18 mark. So this is a card which people really like over here as well. It's Umbreon, right? Umbreon across the board is just really sought after. Everybody loves it. Obviously, we've seen it with the VMAX. And, I actually prefer this art than the VMAX Trainer Gallery version. I think this looks actually nicer. But this is still pretty cheap. I mean, even in PSA 10, there's a ton of this going around. But I do feel like this is a gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous looking card. And CGC 10, look at $165. That's pretty impressive. So this is a card where, raw price, we're looking at around $12. And I mean, it's been pretty cheap, if I'm being honest. It's been sat around 12. It dig up to like 16. Like I say, probably around that $15, $16 mark on average for this Umbreon. Great, fantastic card to get. I think it's a good one for anyone's collection, especially if you like evolutions. So there you have it, guys. Those are some great cards to pick up in your collection. They're pretty cheap. They're pretty cheap. I'm not going to list stupidly expensive cards. That's for a different video. These are just great cards that you can pick up for a decent price, which kind of covers a bunch of different things, right? There are some beautiful cards out there that don't necessarily break the bank, but would look really nice in any collection, especially if you get them in good condition. Of course, if you are going to buy these, you want to make sure that it's, of course, in a good condition based on the price. If you made this fun to the video, guys, make sure to smash that like button. And if you want to know what other great Pokemon cards to add in your collection, then make sure to click on this video right here. If you want to watch more Pokemon content, guys, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button. Alright, guys, that's it from me in this video. As always, thank you so much for watching. You guys are legends, and I'll see you in the next one.